傳播燈界熱嘅白紋伊蚊喺冬天依然活躍，只要有少少積水就可以滋生。市民要注意清理屋企同周圍嘅積水。大家喺冬天都要做好防蚊措施，唔好俾啲蚊同我哋一齊過冬啊
！If we want a better future, we must learn from the past. Every night before the news at 7:30, Today in History, right here on Pearl.
Muscles! Muscles!
They stumble and they hobble.
Where's the 50 grand? 50 grand in here!
Out of 24 contestants, only one will make a grand exit. Sunday, Wipeout, Season 6 at 8:35 on Pearl.
CE brushes aside lawmakers' calls for debate on political reform. ATV's major shareholder says the broadcaster could be off the air within days. And Germanwings pilot may have deliberately crashed plane. Good evening. The chief executive said today the next 3 months are crucial to Hong Kong's political reform. During a question and answer session at the Legislative Council, Leung urged lawmakers not to deprive voters of their chance to achieve universal suffrage. As Rani Samtani reports, he also offered up his definition of genuine universal suffrage.
As the chief executive arrived, dozens of pan-democratic lawmakers challenged Leung Chun-ying to a debate over political reform. The CE just walked by, but in his opening speech, Leung expressed hopes that universal suffrage can be achieved for the 2017 CE election. He stressed the key issue is the attitude of lawmakers.
The NPCSC will not retract the decision August 31st, and the five-step process will not be reactivated. This is not achievable. At this critical juncture, how are you going to lead Hong Kong? Is Hong Kong going to be deeply divided for the sake of your own political career? If you do not cast the vote, the 5 million people who otherwise would be able to cast the vote will be denied the votes. So the question doesn't lie with me. I've stated my position. The ball is your own court, Dr. Kwok.
Leung went on to define genuine universal suffrage.
All elections in all societies are genuine universal suffrage, so long as the elections are based on their system, their constitution, and their electoral laws. In Hong Kong, we have a broadly representative nominating committee nominating candidates for the CE election, so this is genuine universal suffrage.
Pan-democratic lawmakers strongly disagreed with the CE's remarks.
Now, this is quite alarming, and it also exposes the naiveness and also how C.Y. Leung fails even very elementary political theory. But having watched and heard him at the CE Q&A session this morning, I think everyone should be more than convinced that a debate is necessary.
However, the CE said there is no basis for a debate if the lawmakers insist on retracting the framework set by the NPC Standing Committee last August.
I cannot feel the possibility of the constitutional package being passed in this chamber. It doesn't depend on whether or not the voices are moderate or radical. It depends on whether these views are based on the basic law and the NPCSC decision.
The chief executive said the government will release the report of the second public consultation on political reform, as well as a concrete proposal next month. He called on the Legislative Council to vote on the reform package before the summer break. Rani Samtani, TVB News.
Several lawmakers also asked the chief executive how he will address the problems resulting from the influx of mainland tourists. Once again, here's Rani Samtani.
Various groups have been staging anti-parallel trading activities in recent weeks.
There's so much resentment within members of the public now. Will you adjust your policy?
The chief executive said he is aware of the issue, but stressed the importance of tourism in Hong Kong.
Without the IVS, many of our employees may become unemployed or underemployed. When Hong Kong's resources are limited and people from outside Hong Kong, mostly from the mainland, may need more resources, thus affecting Hong Kong people. So we'll give priority to Hong Kong people.
Civic Party lawmaker Claudia Mo accused Leung of being insincere.
He actually was cheeky enough to use the term Hong Kong people first. He was just paying lip service to the issue. At the end of the day, we need him to actually fight for Hong Kong people's interests. He hasn't done anything, and the problem is getting worse and worse and worse.
Some lawmakers expressed concerns about the relationship between the people of Hong Kong and the mainland. Elizabeth Quat said some mainland visitors are refusing to come to the city now after protesters insulted them. The CE condemned the violent acts.
We must treat our visitors with hospitality such that we'll remain a capital of tourism and hospitality.
In the afternoon, lawmakers continued to discuss the issue, with many expressing concerns about the city's capacity. Democratic Party Chairwoman Emily Leung noted if the number of visitors continues to rise to over 60 million, people will have to wait for 20 trains before they can board one. Lawmaker Leung Chi-chung of the Democratic Alliance for the Betterment and Progress of Hong Kong said the government has been aware for a few years that visitor numbers are beyond our capacity. He criticized the administration for failing to come up with concrete measures to deal with the issue. Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development Gregory So explained that the SAR government has been reflecting concerns and views to the central government and will find ways to optimize the multiple entry permit arrangement for mainland visitors. Rani Samtani, TVB News.
Asian Television's major shareholder says the station could be shuttered within days. The government says it has not received any such information about ATV, prompting criticism from the IT sector lawmaker who called the authorities irresponsible. Dainto reports.
In an interview with mainland financial news outlet Caixin, Wang Zheng said the final white knight formally rejected last weekend to put money into the troubled broadcaster. Wang was quoted as saying ATV is at its last gasp. He also reportedly said the free-to-air station could go off the air as early as the end of March. The online article said Wang spent $1.8 billion trying to revive the company and had tried to sell it in January for half the amount. But Wang said the two potential buyers who had showed interest only offered $200 to $300 million, and he dismissed these offers as inoperable amounts. The government said it has not received information about ATV's potential imminent closure.
I will not comment on a hypothetical question. The Communication Authority will pay close attention to the development with respect to ATV to ensure that the services will be provided according to the license conditions. Or if any interruption, any interruption to the service, it will be kept to the minimum.
Saying it needs to take the initiative to clarify the situation with the company's management, IT sector lawmaker Charles Mok called the government's attitude extremely irresponsible.
Repeatedly, ATV has been unable to fulfill its obligations as an employer or as a company operating under a public license. In the meantime, the government did nothing. They didn't, put up any punishment. They didn't do anything basically about all these problems and just let ATV continue to operate.
Mok added that the government has still not given a reason for delaying the free-to-air license renewal decisions for both ATV and TVB, which were due last November. The station's licenses will expire in November this year. ATV issued a statement this afternoon saying Wang has disputed several points in the article, including his description of ATV as at its last gasps. Deloitte, the court-appointed manager for ATV, said it will give an update on the broadcaster's situation in the coming 2 weeks. Diane To, TVB News.
Elsewhere tonight, a French prosecutor says the co-pilot of a Germanwings jet that went down in the French Alps, killing 150 people, appears to have crashed the plane deliberately. Investigators say 28-year-old German Andreas Lubitz was left in sole control of the Airbus after the captain left the cockpit. Prosecutor Bryce Robbins says the most plausible, realistic interpretation is that the co-pilot refused to open the door to the cabin to the captain and pressed the button which caused the aircraft to lose altitude. Germany's interior minister says there are no indications of any kind of terrorist background to the Germanwings crash. Lufthansa, the parent company of Germanwings, told investigators that regular security checks also turned up nothing unusual about the co-pilot. Saudi Arabia and Gulf region allies have launched airstrikes on Yemen to counter Iran-allied rebel forces laying siege in the key port city of Aden. James Aiken has the latest.
The airstrikes are part of a larger operation targeting military installations and strongholds held by rebel Houthi fighters in Yemen. A ground offensive also helped to retake the airport in Aden, which had fallen to rebels on Wednesday. Saudi Arabia, which borders Yemen, has deployed 100 fighter jets, 150,000 soldiers, and other Navy units in response to a direct request by Yemen's embattled president, Abd Rabbu Mansour Hadi.
We will do whatever it takes in order to protect the legitimate government of Yemen from falling and from facing any dangers from an outside militia. This is a very dangerous situation, and we must do everything we can to protect the people of Yemen.
Local television reports showed the aftermath of airstrikes that hit positions in the capital, Sana'a. The U.S. is not participating in the offensive, but several Gulf Arab allies are.
Having Yemen fail cannot be an option for us or for our coalition partners.
As the rebels closed in on Wednesday, Hadi reportedly fled the country by boat, and Yemen's major seaports have now been closed. Saudi Arabia and its partners want to avoid the possibility that Iranian strongholds will develop within its neighbors' territory. But Iran's foreign ministry said today the airstrikes are a dangerous step and called them an invasion that will worsen the crisis in Yemen. Yemen's foreign minister welcomed the airstrikes and said the rebels forced the government into this. With the government on the brink of collapse and the Iran-affiliated rebels controlling much of the north, including the capital, Yemen faces the real possibility of fragmentation and growing international security concerns. James Aiken, TVB News.
Back here at home, a new food scare in Taiwan is sending Hong Kong food and health authorities into high alert. The Center for Food Safety is taking follow-up action after mislabeled Japanese food products affected by radiation were sneaked into Taiwan. Joa da Silva reports.
After the contaminated oil scandal in Taiwan, authorities on the island are grappling with yet another food scare. That's because they found and seized from market shelves food products from radiation-affected areas in Japan. The food was mislabeled and illegally imported into Taiwan in violation of a ban on food from 5 Japanese prefectures: Fukushima, Ibaraki, Tochigi, Gunma and Chiba. Here in Hong Kong, the Center for Food Safety was quick to react to the report.
We have also sent out our officers to check the major supermarkets as well as the chain retail stores and to check if there are similar problems in Hong Kong about the mislabeling of food. And so far we have found all the samples that we have checked are all satisfactory.
In Taiwan, tests performed on 193 out of 283 illegally imported food items detected no abnormal traces of radiation. Since the Fukushima nuclear disaster in 2011, Hong Kong has also had a ban in place on food products from the 5 Japanese prefectures, albeit not as comprehensive. Items banned include vegetables, fruits, major milk-derived products,